Soil is everything to my friend Albert. He loves to work the land, and he was a farmer once.
Kuule, ütle mulle, mis kartulid sa maha täna paned?
Eestimaa.
Eestimaa? Ongi Eestimaa?
Eestimaa, see on ka see katus ja Eestimaa.
Our roots are still in Estonia, though Albert and I now live in England. I left 6 years ago, but Albert last saw his homeland in 1944. For Albert, Estonia is still the free country of his dreams, where he spent the first 35 years of his life. Estonia today is very different from the land he left. This year he's coming back to see it.
Oh, it's actually so wonderful to look at the map of Europe before the war. What is it, 1938?
38, yes.
It looks so natural to be part of Europe and to be a separate country. And
this sea connects all these countries around. That is a lifeline. And this develops a culture and mentality of the people.
And you know, when people are speaking about the Baltic independence, they say, oh, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, they're so small, they can't do it.
No resources, yes.
But I mean, look at the map.
Yeah.
We're not the smallest countries in Europe.
But in the people's minds, they are still thinking imperially. That things must be big to be good.
But small things are good as well.
Yes.
But Stalin thought otherwise. In a secret pact with the Nazis, Stalin took over the independent Baltic states in 1940. The people had no idea what was to follow. In 4 years, Estonia underwent 3 occupations, first by the Russians, then by the Germans, and again by the Russians. Estonian men were mobilized, first by the Red Army, then by the Wehrmacht. Albert joined neither. Instead, he fought the Russians as a partisan. Wounded during the first weeks of the war, he survived the German occupation working on his farm.
This is a drawing of my farmhouse as I remember it. I last saw it 1944. I think it was July or August. I've heard rumors, but I really don't know exactly what to expect.
Songs have become the only means of expressing the nation's grief and deep sense of injustice. Each singer at the Song Festival tells a heartfelt story, known to each and every one of them, but unknown by the outside world.
I am walking on the soil of United Kingdom, but my spiritual heart is there. Spiritually I'm there, bodily I'm here. And who am I? Tell me.
That's the question that has haunted Albert all the years of his exile. It was hard to start anew for Albert and his Estonian wife Emma, whom he met in a displaced persons camp in Germany. Because Emma worked for the British, they finally made their home in Cornwall, in Foy, where Emma is now buried. Albert never found work as a farmer, but became a sailor and a ship chandler.
Well, he's got his citizen's papers now. He'll soon be a cousin Jacker. You know what that is? That's a Cornishman.
What a wonderful man you've been. A good servant to the community, a super chap. Your English is hardly any better than the first day you got here. At least 2 people in the town can understand everything you say. Everybody understands exactly what a lovely man you are, an asset to the place, and live forever.
We didn't expect to stay so long here in exile. We thought out as a was that, oh, this will be sorted out in a few months or not within a few years, but it became 50 years. It's not been sorted out yet. Sometimes difficult, but I have managed. And I'm not the only one. I think there are many people like that.
Albert is right. There are small exile communities scattered all over the country. Once a year they come together in London to celebrate a song and dance festival. My own story is a happy one. I fell in love with an Englishman. We got married in Estonia, and eventually the Soviets gave me a visa to come to England. To the English I was strange. A girl from the Soviet Union who said she wasn't Russian, but Estonian, a name most had never heard of. To this generation of exiles I was strange too, brought up in Soviet Estonia, a communist society which rejected them, even treated them as enemies. No wonder they live in the past.
Oh, my Estonia is like it was before I left, you know. Sunshine and flowers and nothing bad whatsoever.
Roots are so strong.
Estonia. Estonia is my homeland.
Homeland is where you're born, where your roots are.
Blood has to be first.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I mean, must be go back to the thing about the roots, that the parents being the Estonian thing is what keeps you there. I mean, that's what keeps you going on. And you know, to sum it up, it's very hard in a couple of words, but there's a feeling inside that will always be there. You know, it's Estonian, and that's the only thing I can say.
The parents of those brothers were among tens of thousands of Estonians who fled when the Russians stormed back in 1944. The exiles created their own history, but those who stayed behind in the burning towns and villages learned to live in an occupied country, cut off from the rest of Europe. This ferry from Helsinki to Tallinn has been the only direct link with the West. Families have been separated too long. That's why I've organized a group of 80 to go back home for the festival. Only an hour now separates this man from the mother he has not seen for nearly half a century.
I have been thinking about it this last half an hour. What our life could have been and should have been, and what it is now. If you ask for emotions, that is my emotion. Ma lille sideme võtaks, jooks ühtesid Eestimaa.
I hope I'm not going to be disappointed. Or I like to think I'm going back to the home I left behind in 1944. Yet I know it cannot be. So I don't know.
Albert's only surviving relatives are his brother's children. Many of my group have been frightened to come back.
Priidu sõnas ma olen küll istunud. Kas sa näed? No tulge järgi, tulge järgi.
The Estonian countryside of today may even look similar to the Estonia of their childhood. A quiet, unhurried land, as if asleep since the 30s, stirring in surprise to welcome unexpected guests from far away.
Oleks võinud tulla piimani peale, kuule. Ema. Lähete emaga? Lähete kõrvult emaga, jah. Seda võib põdjad alla panna. Tervist kodumaale saabumise puhul. Ja eriti on see suur päev emale. Sest mida ema kõik need 40 aastat on mõelnud ja südamest kandnud, seda ei tea meie keegi, sest meie pole seda läbi jaganud.
The old capital city of Tallinn feels younger again. Her medieval streets are full of dancers and singers. The Song Festival is about to start. It's a time of hope.
I actually do feel Estonian, yeah. It's nice to hear the language being spoken in most places, you know, and that's nice. That makes me feel good, that part of it. I actually do feel that I do belong sort of here. Part of me does, yeah. That's a nice feeling, you know, the family and that are here. Yeah.
It's hard to feel totally Estonian and that you've come home, especially when you see so many Russian soldiers about things. I didn't expect to see quite so many. I mean, every time you walk down the road, there's another one.
The presence of the Soviet army is no surprise to Albert. On the way to his home farm, his route is barred by a column of Soviet tanks on the very road they came down 50 years ago. Albert's fight against the Russians was a fight for the farm his family had run for generations. For him, remember, soil is everything.
This is what's left of the house.
Oled vana maja peremees või talu peremees?
Jah.
Noh, ega te ei tunne mind.
Teie?
Jah.
Me peaks sina vist rääkima.
No meil on ükskõik.
kuidas
me oleme enne kohanud.
Ei ole.
Ei ole?
Ei ole. Esimest kord ma tulin vaatama, et mis kes siia tulid ja et mis te siin vaatate. Ja no kui minu isa läks siist ära, me ehitasime näed siia omale elamise, isa läks siist ära ja me tulime 48. aastal.
See oli ka siis ma olen alles ei olnud.
Alles? Me ju elasime siin sees.
Siin ma olen 48 aasta alles ei olnud.
Ja oli. See maja oli siis alles.
You can't say that the land is ruined as a whole, but the old farmsteads, homesteads are ruined. And that is sad. I don't know whoever can sort out it. It will be a long time before it happens. But my heart was at farming. But it was land, sky, forests, waters, lakes.
The Estonian flag took its colors from a fraternity at Tartu University, to which Albert belonged. In 1934, at his local church, the flag was blessed at its 50th anniversary ceremony. For the last 50 years, this fraternity was banned by the Soviet authorities, and this is the first year that it has met since.
Lenga, et rohkem mulle elusi anda.
Mulle Heartsong Albert, Ters minu nimi. Sinu noorem vend oli minu toa ka.
Ja ma tean, ma jakka tulnud.
Ja just.
On säärane, et see on Tartust kaasa võetud, kaasa toodud, kui oli see suur põgenemine 1944 või veidi varem. Ja kuna ajad on niivõrd nüüd muutunud,
Nad kõik on läinud languspäid, viimistlas maale tagasi. Oi jeerum, 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 oh praegu tahtsi oreerum. Tantuseks!
You were a member before I was.
Yes, I was a member before, but the English is much better.
I've spent the best part of my life in England, and I do realise that I'm more English than Estonian, although I'd love to say that I'm 100% Estonian, I'm not.
No, 46 years has done its work, I'm afraid. I got my education in England. England is my home country, and although I love Estonia, I would certainly come back here. I won't come back to live here, even if it was free, because my life's been in England for too long, and I'm in many ways English.
I'm nobody. I'm not English properly, I'm not Estonian properly.
Something in between.
Something between, yes. But my heart is here.
The Estonian flag is back at the front of the festival parade. When the last festival took place in 1985, the same parade marched through the streets under the hammer and sickle and the portraits of Lenin and Brezhnev. It's also the first time but Estonians from abroad have been invited to take part. This group comes from the Estonian community in Argentina. Principal conductor Gustav Ernesaks, and the guest of honor, the President of Lithuania, Vytautas Landsbergis.
It's a festival of solidarity of Estonian people and all the three Baltic peoples.
What do you feel today?
I feel a great hope about our freedom.
The parade takes 4 hours to pass on its way to the Song Festival grounds. Albert has a more personal journey to make, to visit his former sweetheart.
Ei tunne.
Ai jaa. Õige ka vai? Oh issand, ole küll.
Jah.
Siia jääb midagi.
Mis ma siin tegema hakkan? Kas sa tead, kus ma olin? Ma olin Inglismaal. Inglismaal. Läks minu elu. Ja nüüd siis 2 aastat tagasi ei julgenud ju veel uskuda, et nii kaklasi jooguse tule saad ja
Homme tuled siis, jah. Hästi.
Sa soovitad siis sõita siit, et me läheme siit?
No ma ei tea, aga ütlen.
Kui noodis Vildanes siis Askotsam Beauty too. Kus kaste einas põlvini me lapsed jooksime.
We Estonians are a country people. Most of us come from small villages, where dancing and singing is a way of life. The Soviets saw no threat in these simple peasant dances and allowed us to keep our music and costumes. They made a big mistake.
Terve, Alvin.
Taustas vanhasti jäänyt kyllä.
Ja.
Olet kyllä.
Sä olet aika yksiksi jäänyt.
Mis?
Sä olet aika yksiksi jäänyt.
Mä olen sen laittaa ollut kyllä. Vai oletko paljon?
Ei se suuri ole, se oikein niin väittää.
Niin väitteellä? Joo, mä olin väitteellä.
Ja. Kuidas sul veri piitab, kuna seva välja tuli?
Surnu kõik on maal.
Surnu kõik on?
Kõik pole surnu ei
Aga
ole.
kunas ta peale sõja välja tuli?
Ta tuli pärast mällot, no ta oli Saksa sõjaväel.
Ma tiedän.
By the end of the 40s, Estonia had lost a quarter of its population. Many of those who couldn't run away from the Soviet troops were rounded up and sent off to Siberian labor camps. Albert's brother spent 10 years there. When he came back after Stalin's death, his homeland had changed. Most of the population now live in cities which are half Russian, with Russian problems. But it's here I meet an optimist. Mihkel Tarn is an American Estonian who has chosen to come back and work here as a journalist.
I've been here about 4 months, and my initial impressions, being an Estonian, were somewhat romantic. It was a bit like coming to a dreamland that you've heard about as a child, a never-never-land, and stepping through the gates and being here. At first that perhaps clouds some of the impressions, but right away you can see that there is something wrong with this society. There's a kind of a sickness here, and it's pervaded everything. So now I'm a little less romantic, and I see a lot of the real problems, and they range from the military occupation, which Estonians will point out, which is a burden, to social problems, drunkenness, problems with getting housing, environmental problems that are probably causing very serious health problems, although nobody's quite sure because studies aren't done. Nothing is going to change quickly. It's not going to happen fast. But given Estonian history and given what they have done in the past during their days of independence, I think they can pull themselves out of this, probably faster even than a lot of other Eastern European countries.
His optimism is shared by everyone today. Can you guess how many of us are here? 10,000? 100,000? No, 400,000. This flame has been carried through every town and village. It's a symbol of our desire to be free. Albert is not at the festival. The symbols that have a meaning for him are very different.
Hope I can smuggle it in.
Tuleb.
Albert is far away from the crowds. He's on a pilgrimage of his own. Very few returned from Siberian camps. One who did is Gunnar. Both men have been exiles under very different circumstances. Gunnar spent 17 years in Siberia.
You are optimist despite what you have gone through, what's been done to you. I mean, I've been a long time away from here. I don't know, but I'm a little bit pessimistic about it.
Give us only the freedom.
Yes, but
before.
How long it will take?
No, we have begun already.
Teda on siin muutunud, sellepärast et see koloos on teinud maaparandust, sellepärast on praegu sellised pilt on, kust kohast on ära lükanud.
See oli kõik maaparandus, see oli mul nivelleeritud, see oli kõik treneeritud, see maa siin.
Albert is a practical man. He wants to get the land back and pass it over to his nephew. He visits the office of the local collective farm to register his claim.
Ilmselt jah, kas ma jätan teile ühe koopia? Selleks. Seal on väiksed vigu on sees. Ja siin tuleb siis, mina lähen ära ise siit maalt, minu volinikuks jääb minu vennapoik Johan Kersson.
It's Albert's last day on his old farm.
Do you think what has happened to your farm is in some way representative of what has happened to your country?
Let me think about it. I think to some extent, to great extent, yes. All the country is somewhat derelict when you look into it in more detail. From the distance, it's not so bad, really. Wilderness is nice. For a picnic here is nothing wrong. These remains and ruins are from the distance quite picturesque.
But how can you build up a country again? Because there is the hope we could see.
That is a difficult thing. That is a difficult thing. I don't know. I do not know how to do it. Some people think that you must change the economy first and social order later, but it hasn't worked that way. It takes the Soviet Union. The social order was changed 70 years ago. Promises were big. In 10 years we'll take over the capitalism. In 20 years, 30 years. After 70 years it's getting worse and worse all the time.
How do you feel about it, going away and maybe never coming back, and yet having left
No, I can live in the past. I can walk all the roads, I can do the roads, I can meet all the people who are known in the past. I can picture them and recall them in my mind's eye easily, even in technicolor. But future, nobody can predict.
I do hope Albert comes to the last day of the song festival. I'd like him to share my past, when I, as a little girl, sang in one of the choirs myself, wearing a beautiful costume and feeling so proud to be there. I'd like him to feel that everything is not lost. I don't think Albert has ever seen so many Estonians all together.
Can you imagine that, on this wall there were all these pictures of Lenin and...
I never saw it myself, of course, but I saw the picture of it.
Was that one of the reasons why you thought you wouldn't come to the song festival? Because you thought it would be a propaganda show?
No, it was certainly the first ones after the war were partly propaganda. But I think the spirit was always here.
Yes, that's right.
The soul of the nation was always here.
Stranger came, brought a lot of misery, brought a lot of pain, started eating another man's bread. Father died, mother died, and their house was full of tears. Deep in my heart.
absolutely wonderful. It just really got to me. I mean, I was sort of crying at the end, the songs at the end were, and still am now, a bit tearful, but it really got to me. I really felt truly Estonian today, I really did. I mean, it just... I felt that I wanted to be part. I wanted to get out there and sing and dance and, you know, do everything. Yes, I really wanted to. I didn't think I was going to feel this emotional, no. And today it's brought it to me that exactly where I'm from and with all this, you know, with everyone around me, seeing all these lovely costumes and these people and hearing the language being spoken all the time.
And what they said in it as well, though.
It's just great. It's just so nice to be here.
This is only the beginning. But it keeps the national spirit going for a while. As there's plenty to do. Tomorrow's tax working day. This was, yes, it was a nice interlude. But there's plenty of work to be done. Every day is not a singing festival.
It's time to leave, but it's difficult. We want to go back home to England, but we also want to stay at home in Estonia. Some of us will come back to our roots. Some of us have never left them.
I am happier that I've been back. I can go away from this world a happier man that I've been there. Kallis naine, sul tuleb natuke aega oodata, enne kui ma siia tulen.